Well, first off, it's a great chance to showcase what Halifax has. What a beautiful city. We've moved here, my wife and my family, and I, some 8 years ago. We fall in love with the place. We're going to be staying here for the rest of our lives. There's no doubt about that. So, secondly, showcasing in 2018 the state of Canadian policing, which is, I think, in very good stead. Considering all the challenges that are out there, but also the issue of technology services that are there, and having a very robust trade show. So I think overall that, and of course receiving Canadian chiefs and Canadian police leaders from across the country. We've been deploring since in policing for the last 35 years, since the arrival of the Charter, that, oh my goodness, that's changed everything. Well, the change that we've seen from the Charter is going to be pale in comparison to change that we're going to see in technology, in the way things are doing, the way that people will interact with one another in the years to come. And I think that's what the main theme of this conference is all about here. It's strangely enough that these are issues that are affecting all Canadian police services, and that's the tumultuous environmental changes that are going on. And when I talk about environment, not just talking about the actual environment, the ecological side of things, but the policing environment, the demographic environment, the political environment. And a lot of these things are driven from outside of Halifax, outside of Nova Scotia, outside of even Canada, particularly with the United States and what's going on there. And as we saw many years ago, what happens there matters here. And that's the biggest challenge. We're just wondering, okay, how do you deal with this stuff? Of course, this interview is being done on the heels of the shootings in Fredericton, so that's also a constant challenge. But it's not just something that Fredericton or here in the Maritimes that we have to deal with, and Toronto's dealing with, and God knows there's going to be other jurisdictions, and it could very well be here in Halifax as well. So it's that ensemble of challenges and tumultuous change that we're seeing in our societies today. Best part is being involved with the community. I get to sing in churches, okay? I get to wear high heels, okay? I get to bicycle and do foot patrol, okay, with my people. I get to interact with the Muslim community. I get to interact with my Francophone and Acadian community. That is just for me, and you're hearing me talk about it. It's just it stokes me so much to be able to do that, and that's the best part for me of being chief of Halifax Regional Police. Well, the most challenging, obviously, has to do with the problems. Policing at its most basic level is dealing with those problems that people themselves should not, could not, would not deal with. And so not only do we have to deal with problems of the community, but we also have to deal with the problems of the problem solvers for the community. So dealing with policing problems, and there's really unique challenges that present themselves in a policing environment, and they're consistently out there. So that kind of really takes a lot of energy, time. They can be rewarding, but for the most part, sometimes you just don't have a set pat answer. People aren't happy. They end up going to the media. They end up going to a human rights complaint, for example, and when they really didn't have to at the beginning. But that's the unfortunate nature of human relations. We've worked on a technological roadmap. All right, we have at least 25 different processes that are in play, and seeing how things are there. A lot of that is going to be dependent upon us getting a new building, and this is something that we've already put onto the to Council's radar screen. We don't expect to be able to move in until about 2025, 2026, if provided everything works out well, at which point then we are looking forward to having good technologies. But we also recognize that it's not technology that's going to solve these human problems. To my knowledge, there's no button that you can press that takes care of the drunk driver on the local highway, or that can take care of somebody who's been sexually assaulted. Rather, it's human beings who are being dispatched out there using technological solutions to be able to facilitate things, but not relying exclusively on those technological solutions to be able to solve the problems. Two things. One is obviously demonstrating that leadership, and there's an expression, be, know, do, which is basically be that leader, know what the leadership components are, and then to do it. all right, on a regular basis. That's the first thing. The second thing now, because of everything that we spoke about earlier on with regards to the changing environment which we're working on, and tumultuous change that's out there, is understand complexity and ambiguity and live in it, swim in it, okay, and be able to deal with it on a regular basis. So you notice I didn't say take as many different transfers as possible, or go get yourself a law degree, which would have been apt in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Now it's really understanding the complexity, being able to deal with it, and be able to affect change. I'd like to see a commitment to policing from our communities, and not just when we have police officers who die in the line of duty, but at all times. And conversely, having that commitment from police officers to their communities. Instead of thinking that here I am, I'm just here to process a whole bunch of investigations and complaints during a day, but rather to really look and see, well, what can I do? To help my community, whether it's picking up a piece of garbage, or it's initiating a program, or it's helping to build a basketball court. So you've got future leaders who would not get involved in drugs, who would not get involved in violence, and be able to contribute to their communities.
46 South Road.